Thank you for having me, and it's a privilege to be here. Since the beginning of the day, we are listening to very different voices, and I think it's about building bridges, and it's about fighting prejudices. And that's maybe what I have also been confronted with as from Turkey in a Turkish Kurdish region. My father in the 60s went to Germany. At that time, you know, Gastarbeiter were in Germany, and they met my mother. And they married, so actually I'm the daughter of an international relation, and something what we call multiculti. But in 1977, my father decided to return to Turkey. And that was not the time we are now living in Turkey. It was, there was an 80 coup at that time, and I was very young and thought always that in Turkey everything will change one day, and that I will be there. And actually, so I did. When our party, the AK Party, was established in 2001, for me it was only possible in 2008. I entered the party's women's branch especially. And there, of course, we were facing the equal participation, and especially the women empowerment issue. So I looked at the ratios of women politicians in parliament. So the whole, since the establishment of the republic until 2001, when we came to power, the average percentage of women in parliament was 4.6. And we started with empowering women, of course. We established the women branch, and then the next election, after we had started, we became 9.4, then 11%, then 14%, then 19%. So at the time being, we are at 20%, which is maybe not as high as in many European countries, but when we think where we started, so it is a great achievement, and there we are going to continue. And I think we are all trying to be role models here today. And what I feel, and what I could also see here, is that my everyday work is just founded on it. Passion is energy. So now I'm in the parliament, as a parliament of the Turkish parliament, a member, but I'm also the vice chair of the AK Party's women branch. I'm there responsible for foreign relations. And I proudly note that our organization today has over 6 million women members, and more than 600,000 actively working volunteers, making it the largest organized women's political movement in the world. This scale is not merely a number, it's a living structure of women who work daily to reach citizens in every village, neighborhood, and city in Turkey. Through training programs, social projects, and policy input, our women's branch shapes legislation, social policy, and local development from the grassroots up. This unprecedented mobilization has empowered countless women to step into leadership at local, provincial, and national levels. Our women's branch has also become an emerging force in diplomacy. While shaping policy at home, we extend our influence abroad, ensuring women's transformative role in global diplomacy. Through platforms as the ICAP, that's the International Conference of Asian Political Parties, the OIC, and bilateral exchanges, we build bridges across nations and represent Turkey's vision worldwide. As co-chair of the ICAP Women's Wing, I worked with women leaders from 60 Asian political parties, over 60 countries, sharing experiences on empowerment, participation, peace building, and combating violence. We also cooperate with women's branches of other parties, exchanging best practices. And these exchanges strengthen women's participation in politics and diplomacy and build solidarity across borders. Within Turkey, women parliamentarians are more visible and active than ever. These women not only legislate at home, but also represent Turkey internationally. In bodies such as the Council of Europe, where I'm a member now, for example, I contribute or I try to contribute to debates on equality, migration, refugee protection, inclusive growth, and combating racism, particularly anti-Muslim racism. Having experienced this reality often in Europe myself, at PACE, Parliamentary European Council, we highlight, for example, when we also talk about equality, highlight the triple penalty many Muslim women face, being woman, being migrant, being Muslim. These truths must be spoken in European institutions and elsewhere, and we will continue to speak them. Under the leadership of President Erdogan, our guiding vision is clear. The century of Turkey must be the century of Turkish women. This vision also extends to our nearly 7.5 million strong diaspora, one of the largest worldwide. Through overseas representatives, including women, we build vital bridges with our communities abroad. In Germany, I had the honor of serving as the AK Party's representative between 2019 and 2023, giving women's perspective a voice in one of the largest diaspora communities in Europe. As one of the first women parliamentarians with a diaspora background, I proudly ensured our citizens abroad were heard in national and international agendas. On many occasions, counterparts were surprised to see Turkey's AK Party appoint a woman to such a role. This reflected the lingering biases we continue to face, but it also demonstrated how Turkey challenges stereotypes by entrusting women with leadership positions and proving that diplomacy cannot be complete without women's voices. This experience abroad connects us to progress at home. In diplomacy, Turkey has made remarkable progress in increasing women's participation. The number of female ambassadors rose from 37 in 2015 to 72 in 2022. Today, women make up 37% of career officers in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and hold about 1/3 of senior posts. Yet empowerment requires more than opportunity. It requires support. That is why we have invested in education, employment, and family policies, so women are not forced to choose between career and family. Turkey has closed the gender gap in schooling, and women now outnumber men in many university fields. That is, they make up 35% of professors and 42% of associate professors. We also see childcare and work-life balance as game changers for women's careers. That's why Turkey introduced universal free preschool, expanded daycare, and encouraged on-site childcare. We also strengthened maternity leave, introduced paternity leave, and promoted flexible work, sending a clear message that parenting is a shared responsibility. Yet, we cannot truly speak of women's empowerment in the economy and diplomacy without addressing the realities that test our conscience today. Gaza has become a tragedy of humanity, children starved, women targeted, and civilians denied of their most basic rights. This is not a natural disaster, but a famine that is engineered, predicted, and intentional by an ultra-far-right Israeli government. The world should be ashamed that there is no safe space in Gaza and that starvation is being used as a weapon of war. Shocking images reach us. Shocking images reach us through our screens. Families are forcibly displaced into our crowded shelters only to be bombarded again. This is part of the Israeli government's genocide against the Palestinian people, a crime now being examined before the International Court of Justice. Silence in the face of such atrocities is complicity. That is why we call for a new global security architecture, one that serves peace, not the status quo, one that protects all humankind, not just the privileged few. And that's also why we usually use the motto and say it everywhere on all platforms, the world is bigger than 5. And this effort, women parliamentarians and women in diplomacy carry a unique responsibility to raise their voices for justice, for human dignity, and for a future where such suffering is not repeated. For us, diplomacy must play an active role before crises break out, not after. International relations should not be viewed as a zero-sum game, but as a shared arena where cooperation can yield mutual benefit. In this context, multiple engagements are a sine qua non of global politics. That's why we in Turkey pursue a 360-degree foreign policy. For us, the EU accession process continues. It's one of our strategic aims, but also we have a 360-degree foreign policy. And in recent years, as we have undergone a silent revolution, a change in mindset, becoming now a global power, no longer a bystander, but a proactive mediator and peace builder. Guided by the vision of the century of Turkey, we are now writing a new story and embracing a new narrative defined by strength, innovation, and women's empowerment. As was declared in 2025, Turkey is becoming a main hub of peace diplomacy, signaling that our diplomacy is being strategically recoded, moving beyond traditional frameworks toward innovative or action-oriented initiatives. This transformation is not only reshaping Turkey's global standing, but also redefining the very language of diplomacy. Turkey, as a nation in transformation, is confident that empowering women is the key to unlocking our full potential. We are ready to collaborate with you, to exchange best practices, to support each other's initiatives, and to stand together in international solidarity for women's advancement. Thank you.